I'm going to start by sharing a scenario with you, one that you are potentially quite familiar with. You have a friend or even a family member who really needs your help. They're going through a lot emotionally, and so you drop everything that you're doing and you either go and see them, take time with them, or spend time with them on the phone or even via video. You take time out of your day for them and you make them important. You make them the priority. And as they're sharing with you, you can feel the pain that they're going through energetically, emotionally, and even physiologically. And you just wish you had that magic wand you could wave and wish it all away for them. And that they didn't have to be experiencing what they are. But you know that's not possible. But what you can do is be there for them and help them through this time. So you find yourself pondering and scanning for suggestions and solutions you can share with them, wanting to fix the issue for them so they don't have to feel the pain and face the heartache. You may even find yourself taking responsibility for them and doing things for them to try to alleviate what they're going through, to reduce some of the worry they're even feeling. And when it comes time for you to go and you leave them, you find as you walk away from them, you feel a really deep sadness within you. You feel flat, possibly even heavy and a bit down. Why? Well, you potentially immediately believe it's because you're an empath and you are feeling their feelings. Isn't that what empaths do? Yes, that is part of what you're experiencing. But what else is actually happening for you? If you're new to this channel, hello, I'm Melinda Cates from I Make a Difference, and I explore the human processes and processing that require unraveling and healing of your human self, and the processes that require remembering, reconnecting to and reclaiming of your true self on your journey back to the true you, your soul self. Do say hi in the comments below because I love connecting with people. And do click on the subscribe button so you can join me in continuing to explore our human experience. In this video, well, I'm going to explore 3 key processes that are interlinked and interwoven into each other that impact the way you empathize and also impact the way you feel energetically during and afterwards when you've been empathizing. And the 3 key processes, well, the first one is a lack of self-worth, the second a neediness to be of value, and the third, over-responsibility. But before I dive into these processes, I ask you to ponder on some questions to support you with your processing around these areas and be aware of what your response or even your reaction is to them. Do you experience a lack of self-worth, specifically where you question your value? Are you someone who tends to readily jump in and help people out? You'll drop everything, as I said in the scenario earlier, to be there for others. And are you someone who finds themselves taking responsibility for other people, specifically adults that is, and their issues, their problems, and maybe even their emotional state and emotional well-being? If you answered yes to a number of these questions, or even all of them, then when you empathize, you have a number of different processes that are influencing you. Processes that you've been conditioned by, that you learned in your past. And they're impacting and getting in the way of you creating empathetic connections with people that are neutral, powerful, and connections that are able to help and support the other person to be empowered to work through their own process and processing. These processes, well, they impact you energetically, emotionally, mentally, and they impact your life force energy. And you carry this with you when you empathize, potentially also impacting the other person in the same areas. Firstly, if you find yourself being over-responsible, well, there's an energy in you and an ingrained part of you that has learned to take levels of responsibility for other people. And when you empathize, take responsibility for the other person, whether you're doing this consciously or unconsciously. And in doing so, you find yourself taking responsibility for what they are going through, where you just want to stop them from hurting. You want to fix what's going on for them. You want them to have solutions so that they can change this. You identify with what the person is feeling, and you don't want them to feel it. Secondly, for you to identify with what they are feeling in your empathizing, your emotional processing, that is your own emotions, have been triggered, and that's what's surfacing within you. There's an unhealed part of you, or even echoes of emotions from past processing that require your attention and healing, including energetically. Thirdly, your lack of self-worth in terms of your value means you have an emotional hole within you created by going without feeling of value. And you want to fill that. And in order to not experience the feelings of lack, well, it's expressed in neediness, and this drives your need to want to help the person, yet again, whether you are conscious or unconsciously doing so. Through rescuing them, fixing their problem for them, you feel of value to them. By helping them, it temporarily fills your need to be of value. Why do I say temporarily? One of the most prominent components of self-worth is your value. You can find yourself at various times of your life questioning, am I of value? What is my value? Am I valued? Human beings are often conditioned to base and even seek out their value based on what society deems to be of value. Well, that is at the time, as it can change generationally, as you'd be aware of. And what society deems to be of value is what they give focus, attention, and importance and significance to. And these tend to have an external focus as opposed to an internal focus. Whether it's the number of followers you have, how famous you are, how much money you make, what you have, what you do, what you achieve, and even which family you're born into. You then may find yourself buying into society's value system, and you're driven to find your value through these processes, which makes you acceptable in society. But as you will be aware, the biggest influence on how you perceive, feel, and experience your value stems from how you were valued as a child and how the people around you valued themselves. You may have been given attention and focus and were valued for what you did for other people. You may have been, like I was, the fighter and the protector, and I was valued for this. Or you may be the fixer and problem solver. You might be the provider or the achiever, or the person who was there for others, listening, caring, and understanding. Or you may have been a combination of these, as well as other areas. This influences how you see and experience your value. It becomes externally focused and measured by people's reactions or responses to you. You seek validation externally. As I mentioned, for me, I learned at a very young age to physically and emotionally protect my mum from my dad. So I found my value in fighting for others and protecting them, which is not the greatest start or way to be of value. A lady I know was of value to her parents, and that she would put them to bed at night when they were very much off their faces, and she made sure they were okay. But the sad part about this is that it is value that comes from a sad and dysfunctional situation and is all about what you do. Interesting, it is also about you finding where you can be of value, because in my case, I didn't feel a value in any other way. Yet, your value is inherent and intrinsic to you. It's not based on what you do or what you have or which family you're born into. It is the fact that you exist is the value of you. It is an internal process that you then express externally. With your value being focused, evaluated and measured externally rather than internally, it indicates you went without knowing you were of value for being you. So you experienced a lack of in your self-worth. And this triggers neediness. Neediness is the process for wanting to seek out and even at times desperately grasp and grab and need to fill the lack. So you become needy to be of value. And if you're also over-responsible, then your neediness to be of value is expressed through you rescuing and saving people, where you take responsibility for them. And guess what? All of this processing and energy then influences your approach when you're empathizing with people. So it gets really complex. And with your conditioning and the unhealed emotional parts of you impacting your approach, you have a significant impact on the other person, especially energetically. But what is empathy? Because understanding that is also important in this blend of conditioned and learned processes. Empathy is the ability to understand what another person is feeling. You know the feeling that they are feeling, but I'll be clear with you. What you won't know is what they experienced that triggered the feeling. You can definitely have insight into what the other person went through and experienced, but you'll never, ever have had the same experience as them. Even if the experience from the outside looks extremely similar and even almost identical, because of your different backgrounds, because of your different experiences, because of your different beliefs, valuing, and different processing, and because you are different, that's what makes your experiences different from each other. So when you combine your lack of self-worth, your neediness to be of value, your conditioning in terms of over-responsibility, when you empathize, you can find yourself experiencing the following. Focusing more on how you feel as a result of how you make the other person feel in your interactions. You will feel good if they're feeling better. You will experience having expectations of yourself as to what you need to do to help the person. Expectations such as you dropping everything to help them right then and there. Also expectations like not leaving until they are okay. You can experience basing your value on their response and what they gain from the time with you. And if they still feel the same as they were when you arrived, then you will potentially question your value, question the value you shared. And if they don't take on board what you suggest, you'll question whether what you shared and did for them was of value. You can find yourself imposing your process on the person you're empathizing with, rather than working with their process. You see, the emotions that are triggered in you because you identified with the other person and what they're going through, they influence your approach. They influence what you suggest and the pathway you take to helping them. You impose what you believe they need rather than what they do need, which you can find out through asking them and working with their process. You can experience feeling responsible for finding solutions for them, for saving and healing them, and you don't want to leave until you have a plan of action, or if you do, you find yourself mulling over and over what to do, worrying about them and what's happening for them. You parent them rather than supporting them to identify what they know they can do and empowering them. You find yourself being responsible for their emotional well-being, so you possibly even carry their emotions for them, processing them for them, so that they don't have to feel them energetically, but they still do. You worry and check in with them regularly to see if they're okay, putting their needs ahead of yours. And if they don't show appreciation for what you've done and shared with them, you can find yourself feeling let down because you had an expectation and were needy to know you were of value to them. And you can then resent them. And the impact on the other person is you contribute to them developing a level of dependency on you. Dependency for you to save them and make things emotionally okay for them. They also can experience feeling disempowered in their ability to work through their own process and processing. Instead, they work through the process you believe is right for them and potentially continue to repeat the same old pattern. And you keep revisiting the same things with them. This can contribute to reinforcing any neediness they have to be understood and reassured by you, as well as feeling emotionally safe with you. They can even feel much better because in your over-responsibility, you took away all that was bothering them, including energetically. You can also prolong their growth and learnings because you are doing it for them rather than supporting them to do this for themselves, for them to work through their process and healing themselves. The impact on you is you identify with and personalize what they're going through. So your past experiences and the emotions, beliefs, and processing attached to those experiences color what you see, hear, feel, and your approach with them. Your emotions can be triggered, as I said, and this is as a result of what the other person's feeling. And you feel similar emotions that stem from your past and situations that were either different from what the person has experienced or that was similar. And you go through a similar pattern. You can give your energy away to the person as part of your neediness to be of value, to make things right for them. And this depletes you energetically. You can carry their worries and concerns and issues for them, feeling responsible for resolving what is going on for them. You can feel the weight of the burden and the energy. You pick up and carry responsibility for their emotional energy, and this weighs you down with something you cannot process for them. This is the complexity of empathizing and having other emotional processing that you're conditioned by influencing you. It's not your role to rescue people. Other people's emotions, energy, worries, and issues are not for you to carry or resolve. Unless you've contributed to them, then you're only responsible for your part. Your role in empathizing is to support the other person and to understand what they're feeling, where you create a space of acceptance which supports them to work through what they are feeling and processing. What is even more powerful is if you're able to take a facilitative approach with them, where you support them to work through their own process and processing. The more you heal, the more you unravel your conditioning, the more you release your over-responsibility, the more you strengthen your connection to your true self-worth and your true self. The more you value who you are, the more you heal your emotions and become more objective and neutral, the more you will become a pure channel of empathy. This takes time. This takes commitment. This takes healing and unraveling. But it's worth it because you are of value and you are worth it. If you are sometimes struggling to identify your worth, or you want to expand it, you might want to check out my self-worth validation tracker, where it guides you to experience yourself through others' eyes and processing, so that you can expand your self-worth, own your value, and own more of who you truly are. The link's below if you'd like to check it out. And until we connect again, keep working with you, keep trusting you, keep being gentle on you, and keep listening to the voice of your true self that's guiding you home back to who you truly are, your soul self.